I wanted to start off up north a little bit. My friend from North Dakota, Kevin Kramer, is here, and we've talked about this issue, and I'm glad he's joined me here tonight, because one of the things we talked about, Kevin, as we came on the floor, you said, it's just about fairness. Mm-hmm. And I think that's a great way to put it. It's just about fairness. So I'd be happy to yield to the gentleman to talk about this.
I thank the gentleman, my friend from Georgia, and others who have carried the ball on this issue for some time. A special thanks to our friend Marsha Blackburn. I serve on the same committee with her, and I've learned a great deal about this and other things from Representative Blackburn. But I was reminded of a quote by the songwriting and song performing phenom Taylor Swift, who said, "I think songwriting is the ultimate form of being able to make anything in life that happens in your life productive." And certainly, making whatever happens in your life, whether sad or glorious, joyful or heavy, you can write a song and it can be productive, but that doesn't mean it's profitable. And if something's not profitable, the productivity of it will certainly wane over time. And we'll be robbed of that very important piece of the music value chain where the product begins, in the heart and the mind of the songwriter. One of the things I love so much about this job, and I'm happy to admit it to my friends in the chamber tonight, is all of the things that you're forced to learn that you never thought were important before you learned them. It's kind of amazing. Here we are, 435 colleagues, representing roughly 700,000 people. In my case, I represent the entire state of North Dakota. And we think about things like agriculture and coal and oil. We think about things like highway bills. But we don't necessarily think a lot about songwriting. We think a lot about markets. We think a lot about fairness. We think a lot about regulation. I was a regulator for nearly 10 years before becoming a member of Congress. And I regulated monopoly industries, and I was a rate regulator. But when I was a rate regulator setting the rates for electricity rates or natural gas, I had a lot of tools at my disposal, not the least of which is all of the evidence that the record could be filled with. And in some cases, it was piles of evidence and lots of testimony. Everything was on the record. It's how you make good decisions. And in the case where regulation was required and free markets weren't as free as they would be in other products, you try to apply as a regulator the evidence to a circumstance that best reflects the market. And tonight we're talking about something where the heavy hand, I appreciate Representative Collins' illustration of the thumb on the scale, the government's thumb on the scale, where there's been a gross inequity, a gross injustice, where technology has certainly flourished, innovation has flourished to the point where the opportunity to distribute and to enjoy music is unlike any other time. But the songwriter's been left out of the innovation piece of it. They've been really biased against them. And I just think, as I've studied this issue, as it was brought to my attention, I look at it and I go, this isn't fair. This just isn't fair. And frankly, the ultimate conclusion of this kind of antiquated regulatory policy would lead to a very important loss, because people wouldn't be able to do this. Now, lest you think that Georgia and Tennessee are the only places there are songwriters, I was surprised to find out there are several hundred of them in my little state of North Dakota. It's amazing how this affects. And one thing that I think all of us can agree on is that small business is the heart of our economy. And there is no smaller business than the single genius that writes music, right? That's the smallest of small businesses. And we ought to get the government, to the degree we can, out of the way, but to the degree it requires. And we understand it does require regulation. I mean, we are talking about copyright. We are talking about things like broadcasting. We are talking about things that are under the legitimate jurisdiction of the federal government. But we ought to at least be fair in how we do it, and we ought to be modern in how we carry it out. So in addition to my friends, Representative Collins and Representative Blackburn and others who have taught me so much about this important issue, I also want to thank a new friend who approached me at a concert that I because I love him so much and love his music. I've loved it for decades. And it is an important lesson of advocacy and the importance of stick-to-itiveness. I had the opportunity to meet B.J. Thomas, a hero of mine growing up. Yep. And you know what he did with the time that we had together? He advocated not on his own behalf, but on behalf of his friends who provided the fuel for his success with a heavy heart based on the fact that his friends weren't treated as fairly and as equitably as he has been as a performer. And it touched me deeply that this man, who had nothing really to gain by this advocacy except, I suppose, the affection of his friends, cared enough to tell this lone congressman from little state of North Dakota about this really important issue. So I'm grateful he brought it to my attention. I'm grateful for your leadership on it, and grateful to be here tonight to help shed some light on it and hopefully move the ball forward a little bit further. Thank you, and I yield back.